Hello everybody, what's going on? It's James here from flocode.dev, and today we're going to do a very quick tutorial on how to get you up and running with Python on Jupyter Notebooks to start doing some engineering calculations as quickly as possible and without falling down many of the pitfalls that I fell down myself. So let's kick things off here. We're going to skim over some important concepts, but the idea here is just to get you up and running, and later on you can learn the ins and outs as you gain comfort with the various tools. There's a few things that might be unfamiliar, like using PowerShell and command prompt, but don't worry, these things will consolidate with repeated use. So the first thing you need to do is install PowerShell if you haven't already. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this code right here, and then we're going to open up a command prompt, and you can do that by CMD in Windows will help you open it up as well. But once it's open, you're going to paste in this code here, which is going to install this particular version of PowerShell. I've already done that, so we can close that up and move on to the next step. So this is something that might be a little bit different than what you'll find if you Google Python installations, and that is using pyenv-win to manage Python. So over the course of time, as you're using Python, you're going to be dealing with different versions, which can cause conflicts and annoyances down the line. And I think a tool like pyenv is a great way to get started because it helps prevent these problems before they even exist. So we're going to copy this code right here and we're going to paste it into our new instance of the PowerShell. So we bring over the PowerShell here. We're going to copy that in and we're going to run it. I've already got pyenv installed, so we're good to go with that. And what we can do now is we can install a version of Python. So at the time that I recorded this, the latest version is Python 3.12. So we're going to run pyenv install 3.12.5. Okay, so we're good to go with that. And I'm also going to set that version of Python as my global version, just like this. Boom. And if you have multiple different versions of Python, it's easy to switch between versions just like that. So we want to check that it's working. So let's just run this little command right here to make sure that it's working. And it should give us a path to the Python executable. There it is. It's in the pyenv folder. You can see python.exe. So we're good to go. If you don't want to use Python, you can also go, or if you don't want to use pyenv, you can also go to the python.org website and download it that way. But I strongly suggest using pyenv because you will thank me down the line. Okay, next step is to install your interactive development environment. You can use a lot of different ones. My favorite is VS Code. I recommend it because it does so many different things all in the one place, and it's a good workstation for lots of different code related stuff. So I encourage you to go to the VS Code website, which is this guy. You're going to see a download link. You're going to want to use the Windows download unless you are a Linux or Mac barbarian. So download that, install it. I've already done that. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to install we're going to just check if we have pip installed. So a good way to do that is just by copying this little line of code here. I'll just make sure we're updated to the latest. And there we go. We're good to go. We're version 24.2 of pip. Pip is a package installation tool, very handy for all of the different types of Python packages that you're going to be using in various projects. Okay, so that's done. Next step is going to be installing a couple of extensions on VS Code. So think of extensions like kind of like smartphone apps. So if you open up VS Code, which you will have freshly installed on your machine, it's on my other screen here, let me pull it across. and we go into extensions, the ones, I got a lot of extensions installed here, but the ones that are important are the Python extension, which has a few sub extensions, but you can see here by the high number of downloads that this is the one that you're going to want. And then we also want the Jupyter extension, which is this guy here, also a lot of downloads. So those are two kind of critical ones, and there's a few other useful ones that I've mentioned in the links below, but not as critical as these two. Okay, so we've done that. The next thing we're going to do is install our package manager. And I have used Conda, I've used Poetry, and lately I've been using UV, which is a package manager built in Rust. And I really like UV. It's very efficient, it's very fast, and this is how I'm managing all of my Python projects at the moment. So to get up and running, we're going to go pip install UV in our PowerShell, and that should be good to go. It's already satisfied, yeah, so we're good. Now that we've done this, we're kind of at the end of the initial installation process. So all of this stuff that we just did, hopefully you just have to do this once at the beginning and you've kind of got a clean Python setup. Next, we're actually going to move into creating an engineering project, and this will hopefully be something that you can repeat over the course of the future and do lots of different engineering projects with different packages and stuff. But what we've done so far is kind of the initial installation process. So now we're moving on to actually getting set up with a project. So I'm going to find somewhere on my C drive that I want to work in. Typically I work in my, I've got a folder called dev, and I'll just use this folder for now. So I've said CD into dev, and this is kind of where I do a lot of my development projects. So once I'm in there, I'm going to think of a project name. So what am I going to do for my project? I'm going to make a new folder, make dir, and I'm going to call it flocode. Oh, it's already auto-completed. Flocode _ lean startup. Okay, so I've made this new folder. Now I want to get into that new folder. I go cd flocode lean startup, and now I'm in that folder. Now what I want to do is I want to initialize a Python project, and the way that we do that is we use this command here, uv init. Check this out, uv init, boom. Now a new project has been created called flocode lean startup, and just a little pointer here is that when you're creating these new folders, try not to have any spaces in the names. You can use underscores or you can use hyphens. Okay, so now we're ready to open this up and get running. So we're going to go into VS Code, we're going to go to open folder, and then we're going to find what we just created, which was flocode lean startup, and we're going to select this folder. Okay, we're in. Now you can see that in the left here that there's a few basic files and a folder structure that are sort of the default settings for a project created by UV. So what we're going to do next is we're going to open up a terminal in VS Code by pressing Control and tilde, which is up beside the 1 key. And you can see that we're already in the correct folder. But what we have not done yet is we haven't created a virtual environment within which to work. And a virtual environment allows us to containerize all of our project code so that we don't get mixed up with conflicts for different dependencies and different versions of packages that we're using within our projects. So the fastest way to do this is UV UVVM. That will create a new virtual environment. You can see here a VM folder popped up here. What's going on here? Sorry, yes. Hold on, what does that say? Do you want to select it for the workplace folder? Yes, I do, but I can't get my head out of the way. There we go. Let's get my head over here. Okay, so now we're going to go .vm scripts.activate. That helps us make sure that we're working within this virtual environment. Now what we want to do is we want to install the IPy kernel. So anytime you're working with a Jupyter notebook, you have to install what's called an IPy kernel in each individual virtual environment, and that allows your notebook to interact with the installation of Python that you have on your machine. Sounds complicated, but you don't have to worry about it. So we're going to go uv install IPy kernel. Oh no, wait, sorry, it's uv add IPy kernel. And that will start to download now pretty quick. Building, prepping packages, and we're good to go. Okay, so we've got the IPy kernel installed, but we don't have a notebook yet. So let's make a new file here. We'll call it notebook.ipynb, which is IPython notebook, which is the file extension for Jupyter Notebook. And here we've got our first Jupyter Notebook open. And let's test it out. We're going to say name equals James. And then we're going to say print hello James. So the output of this should be hello James. However, to run this cell, we need to connect to an instance of Python via our IPy kernel, which is located in the virtual environment. How do we do that? Very easy. We go up here to select kernel, see the drop downs, Python environments, and here you go. It usually shows up right at the top because .vm is located within the root folder of our project. So we're going to click that, and now we're all connected. You can see here that we're good to go. We've got the version of Python, we're in a virtual environment, all in our notebook. Then when we actually try to run our cell, we press Control Enter to run. You can see hello James, we've done it. And then we can also go change this to Peter, and then it says hello Peter. So from here on out, you can create a markdown cell and say, whoops, we can go markdown, hi everyone, and boom, you're good to go. Start coding, start creating whatever you need to do. You can add your, if you want to go uv add pandas, which is quite common, then it's just going to add pandas and you're good to go. And as you add your projects, this pyproject.toml file is going to be updated. You can see here we've got IPy kernel with the version number, pandas with the version number, and then you can add all sorts of stuff in here. You can add a description here. You can go into the project README. You can write a bunch of stuff in Markdown in here. You can be like, this is the project README. And if you want to see what this looks like as you're writing it, you can do that too. And this should explain what your project is. Anyway, that's how to get up and running quickly on Python with VS Code. This is how I like to do it. And yeah, if people have questions or if you're having any problems, just hit me up in the comments and I'll talk to you guys soon. Be good out there. See you in the next one.